Now, it's hard, I think, for a lawyer in this day and age to do it all. Some of these born trial lawyers, that want to come in and do collaborative, that's just, some of them just not going to be any good at it. And some born collaborators that for some reason say, well, I want to go play in the courtroom. Well, they may not be any good at it there either. And there's room along here for everybody. People talk about this paradigm shift. And from my trial lawyer experience, I'm always looking for simple words. And paradigm is just, what the hell is a paradigm? But it's attitude adjustment, I guess. And for somebody to be successful in being a collaborative professional, collaborative lawyer, I think they do have to have the right attitude about what it is that they're doing. If they think their first and foremost duty is, and their only duty is, if a client says, I haven't seen my children in 5 years, but I need to have sole custody of them, and I want you to go to court and argue for that. Well, if I'm the trial lawyer, that ain't going to happen, I don't think, unless you get one of these fluke verdicts, which sometimes happen. But your duty as a lawyer, if the client is asking for something, it's not unethical, it's not illegal, he has a legitimate, I know I have a sorry case, but I want to take it to court anyway, and I want you to be my advocate. I may have a pig of a case, but I want you to take me to court and make me the best looking pig that I can be. All right? That's what lawyers do. And if that's the mission of the representation, that sort of thing won't necessarily fit in a collaborative environment. So I think the attitude adjustment is, our litigation stuff is white hat, black hat. A lot of the times we're trying to get the result we're trying to get by laying blame on the other side. And many times the adventure in a courtroom is, whose fault is all of this? Why is this kid so messed up? It's because of him, or it's because of her. And so it's a blame assessment adventure. In our collaborative process, that attitude has to change. It's not a who's at fault. It's a how are we going to fix this attitude. Instead of the lawyers fighting each other, each of them trying to make their pigs look as best as they can, instead of the energy being focused on that, the energy is, instead of the lawyers fighting each other, they're kind of fighting the problem. They're absolutely representing their client's interest. But they're fighting the problem more than they are the other side. It's just a different way to solve problems. And some people can make that attitude shift, and some people can't. And it is a different orientation. It's a different mission. The question is what do I see as the benefit of the neutral mental health professional? And it's enormous. People say, they ask me, what do you do for a living? And at various stages in my career, I've had all kinds of answers to that. Therapist with a baseball bat, I don't know. But the most common thing I think about is my job is maybe 10% legal financial. And I know a lot about the law, and I know a financial thing or two. But the other 90% is all emotion. And when I have problems, or my clients have problems resolving their dispute, very rarely is it a true legal financial thing. I mean, we can at least figure out and define that, and here's here's the best answers available with whatever those tools are. The problem is the emotion. And when we bring the neutral mental health professional into this process, there's finally somebody in that room that knows what to do with 90% of the problem. And it is dramatic, the difference that they make. When I was in law school and they were teaching me how to cross-examine people, how to use the rules of evidence, how to keep this out of evidence, how to get this into evidence, all that kind of stuff. Nobody taught me what to do when your client starts crying or your client starts yelling or the client is so emotional they can't hear you. We didn't spend, I was in law school a long time, we didn't spend 5 minutes, 5 seconds maybe, talking about that. That's just not what lawyers do. Well, if you're in family law anyway, and really I think if you're in any kind of transaction that involves another human being, you're involved in an emotional environment. And bringing the neutral mental health professional to the negotiating table in a family law environment is just critical. There's that book out there, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I don't know about everything in that book, but I get the gist of it, And when man and woman get divorced, Mars and Venus doesn't quite describe it, and having somebody in there that can help, maybe with that, I was talking earlier about the birthday card, screw you card. The mental health professional can take those and say, you're hearing that he's attacking you or trying to hurt you or insult you with this offer. But that's not what he's saying. So let's talk about that some. And here again, because he or she is a neutral, they can be heard on that. When I try to tell the other side, that's not a screw you card, it's a birthday card. Look at all the stuff. They can't hear it again. And the neutral mental health professional often can be heard. Say, no, maybe it doesn't look like a birthday card to you, and that's okay. But it's also not a screw you card. It's just a card with a bunch of numbers on it. Let's visit about it. Having somebody in the room that can address that in the moment. They're like emotional firemen. They'll be in the meetings, everything's going great, no problems. And then somebody will erupt over something. And they kind of know what to do. The rest of us are left with our own, whatever responses we have to emotional overwhelm. I tend to shut down. If it gets weird in the room, I want to crawl under the table. Get me out of here. That's not a real constructive, helpful response. And so having somebody in that room that knows how to help people work through those issues in the moment is, just outstanding. And helping people decompress when they've gotten emotional. Having a tool in there somewhere to process all of this. And there are people are getting divorced for a reason. And having the neutral and maybe offline meetings to hear their stories fully and have somewhere to tell their story. Because in the meetings, most of the time it's inappropriate for everybody to tell their whole story. But the neutral oftentimes can fulfill a piece of that role. So they're critical.